So I just recorded you the best video of Maverick with us just starting prong collar work and him going from being hyper and stressed to nice and relaxed. And I forgot to hit record. So I'm going to kind of condense down what that video was because he's tired now. He's done a lot of mental work. We've been working for probably about 20 minutes. So I'm going to condense it down, show you what I'm doing with him. That way you can follow through with training and see what we're doing and how things progress. That way it's easier for you to understand when he comes home. But the gist of what I was doing was showing you how when dogs have to use their mind, that they calm down a lot faster than when they use their body. At the beginning of the video, there's no way he would have done this, but because we worked his mind so much, he went from mentally and emotionally being up here to being down here and a lot more relaxed. It's very similar to how with children, they can go play on the playground and they'll run around for hours on end, and they'll be tired, but it's not that like just complete exhaustion. Like they can still come in class and finish out the rest of the day. But if you have them sit down for 20 minutes and study, they're passed out on their books. So it's very similar for dogs. A lot of people want to go and play fetch with their dogs for hours on end, just trying really hard to wear their dogs out. But what you're doing is you're building up endurance and you're creating an athlete who needs more and more and more of that physical activity. When we're doing stuff like what I'm about to show you, where he's having to stay in a heel position, he's having to sit when I stop, he's having to really like stay keyed in with me, and also he's learning right now, so that's taking mental work too. But all of that's working his brain, so he's tiring out a lot faster. And if we spend our entire day with him having to think, which, thinking's not that much for him. It's staying in a heel when you go on a walk. It's sitting when you open the crate door, not coming out until you say that he can. Same with your front door, your back door. He doesn't go through doorways until you allow him to come through, and then he sits. Being on the placemat and having to stay there. All of that takes a lot of mental work for a dog, especially one who has had, about, 6 years of just programmed in the like pacey pace, panic kind of like state of mind, which I know he's gotten worse since you moved to your apartment, but still that underlying anxiety was there. A dog doesn't get this stressed out without maybe being predisposed to anxiety or having experiences in early life when they were developing where things were just a bit more stressful. So the little bit of work we did, he's gone from the first video posted on Facebook today where he's pooling all over the place and just can't settle, to being able to lay down when we've been in a sit for a couple minutes. So I'm going to explain the prong collar because that's what we're doing right now, and then I'll show you how I actually do everything. So Maverick is very sensitive to the prong collar. I tried to do a slip lead instead, but the slip lead didn't have enough like oomph behind it to really snap him out of his stressed out state of mind. So we're doing the prong. I'm doing super light leash pressure. It's not much pressure at all. And we're also teaching leash pressure. What that means is that when he feels some tension on this leash right there, the collar tenses in some, he has to follow through whatever I want from him for that pressure to go away. That's going to help you with him when he's in like a really stressed out, like if you're going somewhere new and it's just kind of a high anxiety situation for him, like he's just not feeling confident and say maybe not listening to commands, won't take a treat, you can use leash pressure instead to get his attention. So what I do, so pressure for sit is to pull up, pressure for down is to pull down, which I drop the leash under my foot and then I pull, so he's on my left, so I'll have the leash on the right side of my foot. I'll pull up from the right, which pulls him down from the left. That way you're not having to bend over and you can stay tall and confident and make him behave. I have not done down with him yet, so he doesn't know this pressure. He's just laying down because he's tired. Also, pressure for following you is if you walk forward and you're holding his leash in your hand and he's standing down, that's going to catch, he's going to follow you. When you turn, if he keeps going that way, the pressure is going to pull his neck back towards you, so when he follows you and gives in, that pressure goes away. Once he's really familiar with the prong collar, which he already knows most of his commands, so when he's familiar with the prong collar, we're going to do the e-collar over that. So same thing with e-collar, you hold the button down, he feels a pulse on his neck, he follows through, you let it go. At the beginning of training for the first 2 weeks or so, every time I say a command, there's going to be pressure to make sure he does it right away. By the end of training, when he comes home, we'll only be doing leash pressure or e-collar pressure when he's not actually listening to you. I'm not going to go into much detail about that right now, just for the sake of this video. as we progress in training and I send you more videos, I'll explain all that in more depth. But right now, I want to show you what I'm doing. So I don't teach stay. It should be automatic. If I tell my dog to sit, down, place, whatever, they should not break that command until I tell them what to do. So when you want to start walking, you say, let's go. You start walking. You don't wait for him. See right there how I said, let's go, but he stayed in the down? I didn't wait for him to decide to get up. I just kept going. He felt the leash pressure, and he hopped up and followed me. So that's what you'll do. You'll say, let's go. You'll start walking. You'll have the prong. You'll have the leash, or the collar. You can make him follow you. What that's going to do is, one, it's an in motion command. So if you say let's go and you just stand there, you're going to confuse them. Also, when you say let's go and you start walking, you're confident, you're making the decision, you're moving forward, and he's following you. With him being so high anxiety, he really needs a leader. So when you're doing that, he's like, okay, good job, Mom. I'm going to go ahead and do what you want. I don't have to stress. So also, he should keep pace with you. I do not want him ever walking in front of you. So when you're looking forward, you should not see him in your peripheral vision. Right now I can't see him, so he's doing great, no need for corrections. If he were, so right there, he went to the wrong side, I just did a quick pop with a prong, he got back on my left. What I like to do at first is hold a shorter leash. Still no tension on the leash. You never want tension unless you're making a correction. But the leash is shorter so that if he doesn't follow right away, I don't even have to be watching him. The second he's not like right there, he wasn't following, I felt the leash get tense and I was able to just do a little pop without ever having to look at him. I'll show you more of that at the go home, but I do want you to keep that in mind. The next thing is that I teach an auto sit, which just means that when I stop walking, he's supposed to sit. So I'm going to say sit. So I'm pulling up for sit. And as soon as he sits, I'm going to let go of that pressure. So he didn't do the command, pressure on. The second did the command, pressure off. So what I did there, I don't know if you can see it, was right before I stopped walking, I pulled up and said sit. What that did was have him stop a bit behind me. If you say sit the second you plant your feet in the ground, typically the dogs are going to stop right here. I want him stopping a little bit behind you. Again, he's a high anxiety dog. He needs you to be his leader. Him being a bit behind you has him more focused on you instead of focused on all this other stuff over here. Now, when I stop, if I want to start walking again and I want him to follow me, I have to say, let's go. If I don't say that, he's supposed to stay in command. Now, we just started working. He doesn't know all of that yet. So what I'm going to do, he's going to lay down anyway. But what I typically do is I take the leash in my right hand. I have it just loose hanging over my finger, my left hand. That way I can keep the tension, or keep the slack on the lead. But if he does break command, I can pretty quickly pull up and get him back into command. Timing is everything, so you want to, the second they make that mistake, correct them and tell them what to do. If you let him kind of like meander around and stand for a little bit and you're not paying attention, and then you correct him, he's not really sure what you were correcting him for. So you want to do it the second he makes a mistake. So I have my hands ready, I'm going to move around. He is not going to move. He is an older guy and we've done a lot of mental work. So he's pretty good and over it now, but I still have my hand ready. If he were to break command, we haven't done down yet, so I would just make him sit. But yeah, that is everything for this video. I'm sorry I forgot to record the first one. That was a lot better, but that gives you kind of a gist of where we're at and what we're doing. I'm about to start him on place. We'll see how he does, but so far, so good. I mean, he's really doing great. He has his anxiety. That's who he is. But for our first lesson, he really did a lot better than I was expecting. I'm really excited to see how he improves.